not really prepared for spring to turn into summer when things get a little overheated. And for summer to turn into fall when things start to crack. And for fall to turn into winter when times really get tough. We think that spring season is going to last forever, but in hindsight, it happens in the blink of an eye. The chapters and seasons in our lives where business is just booming. Things are going really well and they're flowing really naturally. And usually we tend to take those times a little bit for granted. We don't really act as buttoned up as we should. Our operations or our processes, our business is lacking in a lot of areas that get swept under the rug. Maybe we do that with our relationships at times too. When times are good, we neglect our relationships. We neglect to maintain them and really give them the energy and time and love and nurturing that they deserve. And then the cracks start to show. And then we go into a fall season and a winter season where things feel really, really, really challenging. Welcome to Leading with Force, the podcast where we help you grow your business and lead your people with passion and purpose. I'm Brian Force. I appreciate you joining me for this episode. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, thank you again for tuning in for another episode of the show. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. I would really, really appreciate it if you're getting value out of this content, then please subscribe, like, share, send this podcast to somebody who could use this message. It really helps me with my mission to help as many people as I possibly can. And then head on over to brianforce.com and subscribe to our newsletter over there. I spend a lot of time trying to bring really actionable guidance every single week that I really think will help you to develop your leadership skills and scale your business. That's it for the PSAs. Let's dive into this week's episode. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time together today. I want the time that we do have together to be as impactful as possible. So rather than having a long, drawn-out message with all kinds of different sections and steps and the top 5 lists that we normally do, I'll just get right to it. Everything that you're going through right now is a blessing. And I know that for some of you hearing this message right now, it's incredibly hard to see that. It's incredibly hard to see the circumstances that currently surround you as being something that is ultimately going to be empowering for you in your journey. I can't tell you on my entrepreneurial journey how many times I have just felt like this was it. That everything had finally come apart. My worst fears had been realized. And everything that I worked for was gone or about to be gone. That I wasn't good enough. I wasn't talented enough. That every bit of success I'd ever had was luck. And now I was being revealed to be the imposter I always thought that I was. And it's really, really difficult in some of these seasons where things aren't going that well in certain aspects to just think it's always going to be like this. That what we once had or what we once aspired to have is really out of reach. And that this is how it's going to be from here on out. And it's hard, especially when we once had something that was really magical. There are seasons in your journey. There are seasons in your life, not just your entrepreneurial journey, but there are seasons in your life where things are going to be easier at times or come more naturally or flow just a little bit better. And there are going to be turning points. There are going to be seasons where it feels like everything is harder. Everything is going wrong. Everything is coming apart at the seams. The reality is we take those good, easy seasons for granted. We don't realize that they're going to come to an end. And a lot of times that's what really sets us up for big time falls and a lot of painful experiences is because we're not prepared for the easy spring season to end. We're not really prepared for spring to turn into summer when things get a little overheated. And for summer to turn into fall when things start to crack. And for fall to turn into winter when times really get tough. We think that that spring season is going to last forever, but in hindsight, it happens in the blink of an eye. The chapters and seasons in our lives where business is just booming. Things are going really well and they're flowing really naturally. And usually we tend to take those times a little bit for granted. We don't really act as buttoned up as we should. Our operations or our processes, our business is lacking in a lot of areas that get swept under the rug. Maybe we do that with our relationships at times too. When times are good, we neglect our relationships. We neglect to maintain them and really give them the energy and time and love and nurturing that they deserve. And then the cracks start to show. And then we go into a fall season and a winter season where things feel really, really, really challenging. The thing is, winter feels like it lasts so much longer than every other season. The difficult things that we go through seem to last so much longer. And that's just the reality of human nature. To get a little bit detailed there, it's called time dilation. The negative times seem to take longer. Unpleasant experiences seem to take longer than pleasant experiences. That's why spending an afternoon or an evening with someone you truly love and you really enjoy their company seems to fly by. You have a conversation that lasts for hours and hours and it feels like it only took a few minutes. Whereas if you put your hand on a hot stove for 10 seconds, that 10 seconds will feel like 10 years because it's incredibly painful. And so the winter seasons in our careers, the winter seasons in all areas of our lives, they seem to take longer. And we tend to magnify the emotions that we have around those seasons. When we were once feeling like we were on top, and we go into a winter season where maybe the business declines, maybe we lose the business entirely and we have to start fresh, take on a new venture, a new journey. And maybe we have to do some things in the meantime to get by that we're not necessarily super psyched about. We just have to do things to maybe make ends meet for a while until we can get our next venture really revved up. Those times seem to last forever. And not only because they're challenging in many ways, financially and on our relationships, they cause a lot of strain. They cause us to have to adjust our lifestyles for a little while. Things just don't flow as easily as they used to, and we're under all sorts of intense stress and pressure to make it work and to claw our way out of what we feel like is a really difficult time to get through. They also make us very insecure. The winter seasons of our lives threaten our identity because they challenge the idea of who we think we are. When we're in the spring season in our life, we're in the spring season in our business, things come very easily and naturally, and we tend to overestimate how great we really are in a lot of areas. We tend to overestimate our ability to succeed at a high level in any venture. And then when reality hits and we go into a fall and a winter season, we tend to second guess ourselves. Can we actually do it again? Can we get back to where we were? Or can we hit our goals? Are we really as good or as hardworking or as motivated or as smart or as talented as we think we are? Or did we just get really lucky for a period of time and now we've been exposed? And is life going to be really, really difficult from now on? Those are the questions that we ask ourselves when times get a little bit tough. I just want you to hear my message today that is exactly what the journey is about. The times that challenge you mold you. They make you who you are. I often tell my team this, and I think it's a little bit of a useful thought to keep in mind when we're dealing with challenging seasons. No one's going to want to read your biography if there's no adversity. You've never read a really great book about a really inspiring person's story. It didn't have some level of challenge and adversity in it. That's what shapes people. That's what's shaping you. And I understand how difficult it can be to show gratitude for the challenges in your life when they become very extreme, when they feel like they're just piling up, when it feels like the stress and everything is getting to you, and every time the phone rings, it's more bad news. Every time you wake up and meet the day, there's more chaos, there's more pressure, something else is going wrong. This is my message to you today, to take a step back and be grateful for every single one of those moments. Every moment that challenges you, every moment that makes you doubt, every moment that makes you think like you're not good enough and we can't get there and everything's coming apart. Take a moment to be grateful because you're becoming stronger. And every single one of those trying times is shaping you to be a better, stronger leader in the future. And not just leader of your people, leader of yourself. Your growth path is determined by the challenges you face and how you face them. So you can shy away, you can run away, you can hide, you can go into a state of victimhood. You can take the perspective that life is happening to you, or you can take the perspective that life is happening for you. And every one of these challenges is going to be something that you look back on with sincere appreciation when you get to the other side, because this is when you learn the most valuable lessons. You learn the most important lessons, the ones that stay with you, the ones that define your guiding principles from here on out in times of challenge. So just take a moment today to get in the habit of being grateful for everything that you're going through. That is the shortest episode of this podcast we'll likely ever do. I think it's probably one of the most impactful if you allow it to be. Take time to be grateful today. I appreciate you listening to this episode, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another episode of Leading with Force. If you found this episode valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel and leaving us a review. And then head on over to brianforce.com and sign up for our newsletter, where we bring you all sorts of guidance on how to build your business, grow and scale, and lead your people with purpose. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.